We all know Red Bull, well, at least you should know. They sponsor and also own many different sports teams, and of course, they're an energy drink. Some people forget about that. Now, they own teams from ice hockey all the way to F1. So today we'll be going over everything. Drinks, separate companies that they have, and when I say all, basically all of their sports teams that they own or sponsor. So let's get to it. So we're going to be showing off just some what the drinks are. So here we are. This is the Blue Edition Red Bull. Now we all know what normal Red Bull looks like. Pop it right here. But the Blue Edition Red Bull is, well, it's just a blueberry one. Basically, all the special editions are in this same design, basically different colour. Now, they still have caffeine and all that, as a normal Red Bull just tastes a little bit different. Except this product, the Organics. Now, I went on holiday to Salzburg, or another place in Austria, and Munich, where I got this shirt. And I found out all about the Organics, a company made by Red Bull. And it doesn't have any caffeine, none of that. It sells cola, ginger ale. This orange drink I tried the other day at the Red Bull Salzburg Ice Hockey Team Stadium. We'll talk about that more later. So those two companies, they've got Red Bull and they've got the Organics. So now, on to the teams. We're going to start off with the football. So in 2005, Red Bull Salzburg were bought off of SV Austria Salzburg. They renamed the club, changed the colours from violet to a red and white. Some fans weren't happy, so they made their own team of SV Austria Salzburg, like some of the Man United fans did, because they wanted the Glazers out, and they made their own Man United fan club. But that's kind of what the Salzburg fans did. Now, they still play to this day in a lower division, as Red Bull Salzburg are one of the best clubs in Austria, or the best club in Austria. They've had Erling Haaland and Adeyemi, two great young talents. Now, in 2006, a year later, they bought a team in New York, and they had Red Bull New York. This team was called Metro Stars Havsi. I searched up, nothing came up, and I put FC, and then it actually came up. But it says they're still playing, and I'm very confused. So maybe they made another club for that, but what I'm looking at, it looks like they are still playing this club, even though they got bought off Red Bull. Maybe it's like what the fans did with Salzburg. And same thing, change name, change crest, change club colours. So I tried Red Bull Brazil, nothing came up, and they were bought in 2007. I think that was a completely just new club. So we'll skip on to Red Bull Ghana, a failed project. Now, it was supposed to be like an academy type thing. They bought a little side in Ghana, rebranded it all, and I found this out when researching all this. In 2014, they sold it to Feyenoord, a very big Dutch club at the moment. They weren't as good as they were back. No, I'm getting this wrong. So Feyenoord weren't as big as they are now back then. And Ajax was much more bigger. But now Ajax is starting to fall, and Feyenoord's one of the best teams in the Dutch league. I didn't realise that in 2014. They bought the Red Bull Ghana project that failed miserably. Now, 2 years later, RB Leipzig, this is where the controversy starts. SSV Mackenstraat was the team they bought off in 2009. Same thing, changed crest, club colours, all of that type of stuff. They were in the 5th division at the moment of the German football, and they wanted to make it to the Bundesliga. And they did. They made it to the Bundesliga, surprisingly very quickly after Red Bull bought them. But this is where it starts getting weird. Red Bull bought them. They buy all these teams for sponsorship for their drinks. But in Bundesliga rules in Germany, you can't have a team like named after like a product like that, or like a product. In Germany, basically the rules are football's for the fans, and I 100% agree with that. So they couldn't put Red Bull Leipzig. So this is what they have: Rasenball Sport Leipzig. Now, I'm a bit confused why they allowed it, but we all know, even on the badge, and it shows everywhere, it says RB Leipzig. And when you're thinking of RB, you're not thinking of Rasenball Sport, you're thinking of Red Bull. People are not going to go, oh, that's Rasensport Leipzig. When they see RB Leipzig, they're going to see, that's Red Bull Leipzig. And that's what I thought until researching more, that they were just called Red Bull Leipzig, but they're not allowed to. Football's for the fans, and I 100% agree with that. Now, in 2019, many years later, 10 years later exactly, they bought Club Atletico Bragantino. I am butchering some of these words right now. But they bought that team in 2019. They renamed the club, changed the colours, and just the normal Red Bull stuff. So that's it for the football teams. Hockey might be an interesting sport to talk about. Well, mainly ice hockey. There's 2 teams I found out. There's maybe more, but I'm not really know about them much. So these are 2 main ice hockey teams, and they're both in Europe as expected. So we're going to start off with Red Bull Munich. I found this out when researching, like only a few minutes before recording this part of the video. Red Bull Munich's a ice hockey team. They play in the Deutsche Ice Hockey Liga. See, I am butchering these words. I'm so bad at pronouncing. I'm very sorry. They were founded 26 years ago, 1998, as a Red Bull club, so they weren't bought at all. Club colours: navy, white, red, and yellow. Now they play in the Olympia Ashali. Butchered that again. I can't stop doing that. Anyway, the capacity of that stadium is 6,256, so pretty good amount of seats. But this is compared to a more popular ice hockey side with less capacity. This is Red Bull Salzburg Hockey. The Red Bull Salzburg Hockey play in the Erste Bank Ice Hockey Liga. I'm not going to try to pronounce these. I'm awful at it. They were founded in 1977, and in 2000 they were bought as a Red Bull club. So they were bought as a Red Bull club before Red Bull bought the Salzburg football team. They bought the ice hockey team. Club colours is a navy, a red, and a white. They don't have the yellow. They play in the Ice Arena in Salzburg with a capacity of 3,200. Now, when you're looking at the background notice, I have the photos up showing what I'm talking about. But in the background is videos from the Ice Arena, because as I said earlier, I went to Red Bull Salzburg ice hockey game last Sunday. It was very good, great atmosphere, and it's a great experience. If you have time, you're in Austria, I definitely suggest going to some ice hockey games, especially the Red Bull Salzburg. The crowd were louder than the Etihad. It was awesome. It was so loud for a small arena of 3,200. And we're talking about the Etihad here. Man City Stadium. The one that's like basically empty all the time. It's so quiet there. Like, I wouldn't know, but I'm just saying. Red Bull Salzburg are so loud. And it's amazing. It's a great atmosphere. It's brilliant. And they have half the size of what this Munich team has. Yes, I barely have any time on this, but let's talk a little bit. Now, we all know Red Bull, Max Verstappen, and Sergio Perez. They have AlphaTauri, also formerly known as Toro Rosso, and they have the drivers of Daniel Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda, and they used to have Nick DeVries, but he got sacked, fired, whatever you want to call it, halfway through the season. So there's not much to talk about. F1, it's cars, driving. Now, obviously, when you're thinking of a Red Bull sport, you're thinking of F1. Now, even though I love the ice hockey and I love the football for Red Bull, I'm a big fan of it, actually. F1 will always come to my mind when I'm thinking of a Red Bull sport. Red Bull sport, definitely the Red Bull F1 side. And it's once again, it's like taken over. Like, they have two basically sides, two teams out of 10 in F1. Now, you can understand how they have like many in football, 2 in ice hockey. But they have 2 in F1 where there's like barely any teams, and they also have some youth teams as well in F2, I believe, and F3. It's interesting. They have basically taken over the sport. But while you're here, you're listening, let me say something. I know exactly what's happening. I bet you Checo will not sign a new contract, because I was at the Red Bull store the other day when I was in Austria, and every bit of Checo Perez merch they had was on sale. Like, every bit of it was on sale. Their Funko Pops, their shirts, hoodies, everything that was Checo Perez related was on sale. Like a big sale as well. Like a really big sale, because this stuff is actually very expensive. And it was such a big sale, actually, that I'm very surprised by that. Anyway, I should stop talking about myself and my great holiday. Thank you guys for watching this amazing video. I hope you guys like, subscribe, and this will be posted on the Let's Talk Sport channel and the main channel, because with these new videos, I can only start like posting like just this on the sport channel when more views come in with that. But anyway, see you guys next time. Bye-bye, and Waddle Dee for Smash.